I mean, it's still extremely important to understand. I would say in my own exams, some questions came out from those new amendments. They were not so difficult. If your concept is right, trust me, you would get it. Well, I would honestly recommend you go through those amendments at least to have an idea. NASA certification would really enhance my pedigree, because if you look at the field of audit from the technology perspective, CISA is the most recognized globally, and it's one of the toughest exams out there. First, which one comes last? Which is the most important? Which is the least important? So you approach the exam from the mindset of an auditor. If you attempt every question before you start, don't just think about the answer. Put yourself in the mood of an auditor. I'm doing my video work. I have this set of options or this scenario. Which one would be most important to me? Which one would I take first? Which one would I do first? When you have that kind of mindset.
Do you even recommend this certification to the a lot of auditors out there who are into internal audits, who are into stat audits, who are into financial audits? There are CPAs, there are ACCAs, there are CIA holders, and they want to understand about more about the technology audits, and they are kind of hesitant towards getting into this field. So do you advise also them to go for this certification, and will this certification add value in their overall profile, and in the future also, because of the increasing demand and reliance on the technology side? Hello everyone, welcome to CISA-This-Much. This is Aaditya, and today we have with us Francis, who has recently qualified CISA. Francis, first of all, heartiest congratulations for qualifying one of the toughest certification. So before I ask you any question, how does it feel, passing this exam in the first attempt?
Well, thank you so much, Aaditya. It feels great. I'm very happy to have passed the exam. It was a bit challenging. And now that I've passed the exam, I feel so happy. I feel fulfilled that after several weeks of preparing, finally I've been able to achieve my goal. So I feel really happy. I feel really great.
Great. Okay. So, can you please introduce yourself, your background, and what made you choose this certification?
Okay, so my name is Francis Akinwale Akinlosutu. I'm a Nigerian, and I have about 11 years of audit and control experience in a financial institution. And then at a stage in my career whereby I felt I needed at least a certification to back up my experience, my extensive experience in internal audit. And when I looked through the certifications, being an auditor for over a decade, I came to the conclusion that the CISA certification would really enhance my pedigree, because if you look at the field of audit from the technology perspective, CISA is the most recognized globally, and it's one of the toughest exams out there. So I came to the conclusion that this would boost my profile immensely and help me in my future career prospects. So after looking through different certifications, the CISA felt right for me, and I decided to pursue it.
Got it. And do you even recommend this certification to the a lot of auditors out there who are into internal audits, who are into stat audits, who are into financial audits? There are CPAs, there are ACCAs, there are CIA holders, and they want to understand about more about the technology audits, and they are kind of hesitant towards getting into this field. So do you advise also them to go for this certification, and will this certification add value in their overall profile, and in the future also, because of the increasing demand and reliance on the technology side?
Absolutely, absolutely. I would recommend it to auditors. The concepts are basically the same. Why I love the CISA exam is because it combines both the auditing aspect as well as the business side of things. So you approach your work, both from the business side. It tests your auditing expertise, and as well, it breaks IT concepts down, into modules that you can easily understand. So, with your auditing background and the way the exam is structured around protection of information assets, you get a very deep understanding, and in your daily life, in your daily work life, you understand how you can apply these concepts to make your work better. For me, I would absolutely recommend it to any audit professional out there. It is great. It is nice. It is not only tailored towards IT professionals alone. It The CISA exam, it brings in a blend of IT, auditing, business processes. It brings everything together in one big melting pot. So if you understand the concepts of the exam, you discover that it's not so different from your everyday audit work life. So for me, I would 100% recommend it to auditors out there. It is a very, very, very lovely exam, and something that would really deepen your knowledge and understanding, especially if you are new to the IT field. It would really help you to understand a lot of things and putting those concepts into use in your everyday work life. I certainly would recommend it.
Correct. I completely agree with whatever you have just mentioned. In fact, I always keep saying that this like, especially when you try to go to the managerial level position or senior level positions in the organizations, you are expected to have knowledge of multi domains. You're expected to have knowledge of audit. You're expected to have knowledge of business. You're expected to have knowledge of IT also. There are a lot of IT professionals who are not aware much about how business works. They might understand everything about the technology part, right? They are techie guys, but when it comes to the business, how it runs, how to get the budgets for your IT security and all those things, that's the area where they don't understand what's the importance of governance, what's the importance of risk and compliance and all those things. But when they do this kind of certification, they actually understand, okay, how these are all interlinked. And gone are the days when we used to say, okay, business is different, IT is different. No, both are interconnected. Both cannot run in separation. Both needs to be combined. If you are giving IT solution, that has to solve my business problems, right? So
Exactly.
exactly. And
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, I mean, so everything is combined. And so when, especially when you move to the senior level position, you're expected to have multidisciplinary knowledge of multi functions, multi departments. So that's where these kind of certification really helps you. And as he himself mentioned that the syllabus is also very beautifully designed, right from the a person who is a fresher to a person who is working at senior level. There is syllabus for everyone. So even if you don't have the basic knowledge, you will get that, right? And even if you have the you are working as a senior in the senior position, it still will help you. So my question to
Exactly.
you, my next question to you is, since you are into I can say senior level position, because you have more than a decade of years of experience into audit, right? So how much time did it take for you to finish this certification, right from the moment you decided, okay, now let me start studying seriously for this certification, and till the time you qualify for this exam?
Well, to be frank, I tried to write the exam earlier in 2023. I'd moved about 85% in my preparation, but at the time I decided against writing it because of competing priorities. So I decided to take a pause, take some time, and see what the future holds. So in September of this year, I decided that now is the right time for me to take this exam. So I contacted your team in September, and I, bought the course, I activated it again, and then I started studying full time. I started studying full time for it. So after about, I would say 7 weeks, after about 7 weeks of intense reading, I was done with the course, as well as the new amendments that were made to the CISA exam. There are several amendments across each domain, but the most significant amendment was done in domain 5. which is about 15 hours of video, I believe.
Yeah.
And after going through all the video lectures, I then, started studying the past questions. In your package, you have, I think, a total of 1,000 questions. So for every test, no more than 1,000, because if you add the mock test with it, I think it should come to about probably 1,200 or 1,300 in
Correct.
between. So I went through all of that, and after every attempt, I went through the corrections again. Okay, what did I miss out? But most times I was getting 75, 70, 70, 75. So I went through the corrections to understand, okay, for those I missed out, I discovered that it's not as if I don't know them, but probably just the application of the concepts. Which one comes first? Which one comes last? Which is the most important? Which is the least important? So you approach the exam from the mindset of an auditor. If you attempt every question before you start, don't just think about the answer. Put yourself in the mood of an auditor. I'm doing my video work. I have this set of um, options or this scenario. Which one would be most important to me? Which one would I take first? Which one would I do first? When you have that kind of mindset, it's easier to attempt the questions. So I went through that about 3 times under a space of 2 weeks. After I did that, I think I attempted about 900 questions from different sources outside of your own package. So going through, say, about 3,900 questions, I was more than ready to take the exam. So it was just like a cakewalk. In about 2.5 hours or thereabout, I was already done with the exam, and in my mind, I knew, yeah, Francis, you did this. I knew I'd passed even before I submitted the exam.
Great, great. And many people, especially like in the month of September, they were very scared. Like, when new amendments have come, a lot of things, new things to learn. Hardly anything is removed. It's just that things are added. Especially like you yourself mentioned,
Yes.
domain 5, highest number of amendments was there. Did you find it difficult or very very boring kind of thing? Okay, 15 hours of new videos and new topics. Did you had that kind of fear? Okay, now I'll have to, okay, be ready with these new because they have added almost everything which is there in the industry currently. Whatever industry trends, each and every topic, they try the best to bifurcate between all the domains. But of course, they had to keep a lot of amendments in domain number 5 because most of the topics are linked with IT security part, and they had to keep uh, this thing. And again, even now also, people are like, okay, 15 hours do I need to watch those domain 5 amendments? It's huge. I do get a lot of messages like that, a huge number of amendments. I mean, do I need to watch also? Did you face this kind of difficulty that, okay, now I have to watch a lot of new additional things? Because whatever is there in the old thing, you have to study whatever is there additional, because that additional efforts is approx, I would say, 25 to 30% of your total preparation, which goes into amendments part. Did you had that kind of challenge or something like that?
Well, I did have the same challenge when the first domain was easy. The amendments were just about 2.5 hours of video. The second, the third, the same thing. But for the last domain, might seem a bit boring sometimes. But what I did was I watched those amendments twice. So once you finish an amendment before you move over to the next domain, I would recommend you repeat that video. You can play it on double speed to make it faster, but these are very, very important concepts as well. You don't have to memorize. In fact, you can't even memorize them because there are so much anyway. But if your concepts are right, if you understand, like I said, just approach it with the mindset of an auditor. So if you look through all the amendments, you see every topic that has been added, just go through them. I would say they are very, very important. The SOAR, um, three lines of defense, and several other new concepts. Even if you're not tested in those areas, I mean, it's still extremely important to understand. I will say in my own exams, some questions came out from those new amendments. They were not so difficult. If your concept is right, trust me, you would get it. But I would honestly recommend you go through those amendments at least to have an idea. Now, even if you do not remember, like while I was preparing, I saw some questions from the new amendments. Even if you don't really understand it, like in some cases, I got the questions right while I was preparing, but maybe I've not, kind of forgotten what the amendment exactly, what it was about exactly. If you just look it up, once you look at it once, you grab it immediately because it's something you've read before. So sincerely, I would recommend you go through those amendments. They're very, very important. Uh, if you understand it well, trust me, you won't have a problem. Just, approach it with the mindset of an auditor. I would also say this, your learning package is just fantastic. It is simply excellent.
Thank you so
I would
much.
recommend it to anyone. And when you go through those amendments, the way you break those concepts down, the way you even say, okay, even if a question will come out, you should expect from these areas, but not before understanding all the concepts. So if you get the concepts right, you understand, at least have a basic knowledge, a basic understanding, so that if you see questions from that axis, it will be easier for you to attempt. You may not understand it fully, but with your right concepts, the right mindset, and reading each question carefully, because in every question, there will be hints. If you read the question properly once, twice, you understand what they are trying to test you on. And that way, even if, like I always say, worst case scenario, and like you pointed out in your package as well, go with the concept of eliminating the wrong answers first. Okay, from this list of 4 things, clearly this cannot be it. This cannot be it as well. So I'm left with just these two. So for the last 2 options, go through the question again. There'll be a hint as to what they're trying to test you about.
That's a very good advice and a great advice. And whenever I try to record MCQ, in fact, I just uploaded one MCQ on domain one amendments, the top questions yesterday itself. Again, I like, I'm kind of trying to build the mindset of everyone, saying that you need to focus on the hints which is given in the question, because as he rightly mentioned, when you remove the incorrect ones, you will always be stuck in two right options. That's the time you need to again go back to the question, again read the question, try to identify what exactly is the hint the question is trying to give you. Definitely, every question will give you minimum one hint. There are some questions, lucky questions, wherein they give you two, three hints, but minimum one hint it will provide you, especially when the question is very complicated, when the question is having multiple answers, especially in those questions. And he also rightly mentioned that not all the amendments are important, but from the exam angle, but it is very important practically. If you understand those concepts, it will be really good for you in the future. So always keep that in your mind rather than just focusing only on passing the exam, because you will pass the exam anyways, but what will make the difference is how good as an auditor you will become in the future once you have this certification. So this certification, more than an asset, it's a liability for me, because if I'm having this certification in my resume, I'm liable to prove myself that okay, I deserve this certification, right? So if you have that kind of mindset, trust me, you will go far in your life. So uh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah. So my next question to you is, what was one challenge for you, especially when dealing with your daily work pressures? I know when a working professional, if they're asked to study for some exam, especially when you left your studies long back and you're not in that habitual mode of daily opening the lectures and daily solving the questions, because whatever, even if it sounds very easy, whatever he mentioned, he solves these many questions, it might sound easy, but I know he knows how difficult it is doing that. with your work life, with your you have your personal life, you have your family. So what was a challenge for you? How used to be your strategy for revision? And what used to be was your like daily kind of schedule, like do you used to study every on weekdays as well, or you used to only study on the weekends?
So luckily this period I would say I'm on like an extended leave. So I had pretty much some time on my hands. I My biggest challenge, was trying to condense everything within a short period of time. But what I did was a step every day, at least every day, take a step. There are times I get, mocked out, and okay, let me take a break of a day or two in between. But even when I'm taking a break for a day or two in between, I use that time to study on questions. So time was a big factor. Time was a big challenge, and I would say, taking the time, the amendments can make you, it can mess up your mind. Trust me, especially if maybe you spent about 6 hours. I have a bad habit. Every time I don't really understand, I'm not so clear, I take it back. So sometimes you might put in 6 hours of video lectures, and then you discover you've only moved 4 hours, 15 minutes in real time of watching those videos. So that was a challenge. But I would say just keep studying, keep taking it a step at a time. Before you know it, you'll be almost done. The encouragement comes when you know that, oh, I just have 2 hours of videos left. So it would be beneficial if I continue. Sometimes just take a break for a few minutes and then you come back again, you're energized. And for me, the biggest challenge was, I would say, time. I would say concentration, especially when it gets a bit cumbersome, too big for you to understand. So just take a break in between and come back and, get it right. I'll just keep studying, keep studying, keep studying. And if you feel tired, if you feel overloaded with the course content, take a break in between and get back to it. And again, I would say this is where the beauty of your learning package comes in. You make it really, really easy to understand, easy to flow, and in between, especially when you get a bit frustrated at your lack of progress, sometimes you throw one or two questions. Finally, here's a question. Let me see if I'll get the answer right. So if you get the answer right, it's a motivation. Even if you don't get it right, the explanations that you give, they are very, very detailed, very comprehensive. So it might compel you to go a little bit backwards to see, okay, probably I missed out a point here. Let me listen to this part of the lectures again. And honestly, I would recommend your learning package to anyone out there. It is, for me, I did lots of research. I would say it's the most, other than the CISA review manual, because even if you read the CISA review manual, it won't really take you far if you don't really understand the concepts. I would honestly recommend your learning package to anyone out there. It is precise, it is detailed, it is very understandable, very relatable. And I give you kudos, Aditya. It's a terrific work you put out there.
Thank you very much. It means a lot. And, I always say that, it's equally your efforts too, because you trusted the entire process. You have implemented what was advised to you, because that's a big challenge. And I'm saying, I mean, this is very important. I'm not just saying for the sake of saying, it is very important that, because planning is very easy part of, whatever goal you have in your life. But it's not just a studies or exam, it could be anything, but planning is very easy. The implementation part, that's the
Can be
place
very
where it's
difficult.
very difficult, and that's where it will decide that whether you will succeed or not. Because many people, they quit in that phase, because knowing something, as he mentioned one very good point here, that 6 hours videos, you cannot say 6 hours videos, okay, let me play in 1.5x, it will get finished in 4 hours. 4 hours I'll be done. It means 80 hours duration lectures, I'll be studying for 3 hours or 4 hours every day, 20 days I'll be finishing everything. It doesn't work like that. Those 3 hours lecture, When you start actually listening to those lectures, you will realize, okay, 3 hours, it actually took me 6 hours, it actually took me 7 hours to really understand everything from that particular video. So number of hours is not equal to the number of efforts which you are supposed to give. So always it will be 2x or 3x of the number of hours. Same thing happens for a person who are studying only on the weekends part, especially the working professionals. Sometimes they feel, okay, let me study 3 hours on weekends, I'll be finishing this certification in a span of 3 months or 4 months. But no, after 4 months you will realize, okay, I have done everything from my end, however I still need a lot of revision, I need a lot of confidence for myself to build, and that will take additional 2 or 3 months of time for me to have that. So very good points he has mentioned. Okay, thank you so much for sharing your detailed journey. uh, any last piece of advice you would like to give to the future CISA aspirants who are watching this series, your interview?
So my final word would be: don't let anything discourage you. No one knows it all. But keep studying. Take a step every day. Read not because you want to pass the exam, but read from the point of knowledge, from the point of information. Read because you really want to learn, you want to add value to yourself, you want to be informed, you want to expand your knowledge base. Read from the mindset of an auditor. Keep working hard, and the only person who can stop you is you. So with Aditya's learning package and the extensive questions that have been, stated in the learning material, maybe you can look at a few other sources to, just compare notes to see, okay, how detailed is, and if you make your research, you would see that what I'm telling you is true. The questions you find on other sources are similar to what you have on Aditya's package. Maybe if you'll find a few that are not tested, but trust me, if you apply the same concepts, you would get it right. So my final word would be: don't discourage yourself. Keep studying hard. Keep working hard. You can do it.
Thank you so much. I am sure that your interview will motivate a lot of people. Thank you once again, and congratulations once again for qualifying this certification. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aditya, and I really appreciate the quality work you put out there. I would 101% recommend to everyone around me who wants to take the CISA examination and who wants to break into the field of IT auditing. It is simply excellent and marvelous. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.